So this past week, we saw one of the developers of Avowed just make a really big mistake. So there was a tweet going around from Grums that showed how he was not interested in playing or buying games that have pronoun options within the game. For him, and I think many others, they are taking a hard stance on the issue and do not want to compromise at all. I totally get it too. This tweet caught the attention of Elon Musk, and he said that having pronouns in a fantasy video game is utterly unacceptable. Then Elon's tweet got the attention of Matt Hansen, who happens to be the art director on Avowed, and well, he just made a really big and stupid mistake. Through Matt's tweet, he called gamers sickos, relished in making Elon mad about the game, and even invited people to still play the game as long as they are not fearful of the woke mind virus. This isn't just poking the bear. This is shooting at it and then missing several times with the bear now charging at you. I do not think this is going to end well for Avowed. If I was the art director, even if I didn't like the personal opinions or political beliefs of someone talking about my game, if I did not have something positive to comment on with it, or open a conversation for good constructive feedback and communication, I would not have engaged at all. This progressive activist temper tantrum is one that is not a very good look for your game or you professionally. No matter how good your work is, who would want to work with you after you said something like this? It's such an inappropriate way to be. Also, why are you relishing in Elon hating this part of your game? Ideally, you want your game to sell well, really well even. Apparently, you and your team all worked very hard on the game. Why would you then not want it to sell well? I'm sure you would want the most people to play your game and hopefully enjoy it. This is just really dumb too, because the art director probably knows, like most of us, is that Elon is a big gamer. There's even a chance that he really enjoys your game, plays it, and even recommends it to people to try it out too. If I was making a game, I would kill for Elon to talk about it or even play it. What an honor that would be. You can tell too that Matt, the art director, didn't really think his tweet through. It reads like an impulsive thing, especially not considering what this means for his game and even the other developers that put so much work into that title. It was an incredibly selfish thing to do. And I would say even worst of all, by doing this, he painted a target on Avowed's back, and now sort of shifted attention towards something to be really concerned with this game, especially within the culture war space. We have seen stuff like this happen time and time again with other games and developers, yet many of these people cannot seem to learn that lesson at all. What does lashing out at your potential players and consumers do for your game in the long run? I really do not understand what they think the end goal is. If we do not buy your games, then your game will not sell. Your game does not sell, then that means that it's not going to be good for your studio. You need the sales. Plus, all of this happened after the final previews were issued for Avowed. Generally, it seemed that people who played the game were pretty happy with it. And now that doesn't mean that the final game will be any good, or anything like that. But it is overall positive press, and it's good for something like that to remain when people think about your game. Now we are in a situation where many gamers are then going to be focused on any of the culture war related items on the game. Now sure, some of this stuff does send up some red flags, outside of the Twitter comment. But comments like this, even if the game ends up being good, regardless, is this no way to interact with your community. Sure, there is a time to be sassy and even playful with your audience and potential consumers, but making an enemy out of some of them is not something you really want to do. Ideally, you are selling a product. You need people to buy your product so it does well and then you gain profit. Why alienate any potential buyers like this? That I don't understand. I want to circle back to Elon's comment related to him saying that pronouns do not belong within a fantasy video game. I am inclined to agree with him on this matter. It's a modern day element that feels like it was ripped right from something seen or discussed on the more progressive and crazy section of Twitter, and then put into a fantasy game that is completely unrelated to our world. Look, us gamers just want escapism. We want to go and get lost in a world that is not our own for just a few hours as a means to relax and wind down after a long day. We want to have fun, go on an adventure, explore new areas, and maybe interact with some interesting characters. Personally, I do not think we want to see stuff that will make us then feel like we're ripped right out of the fantasy experience and remind us of the real and very weird world we're currently living in. So what's the intent? Was it just to throw this in here so that some people people at the studio can feel like they can play as themselves in the video game with the pronouns they chose? Or is the pronoun thing a red flag to show that the entire game is going to be filled with progressive nonsense, distracting or even worse, damaging the fantasy world some of us want to try and get invested in? All I can speak on is that I want fun games, and I will happily play more stuff that can bring that to me. Back to the art director. If I was Matt, I would try to run some sort of damage control on the situation. This might be a situation for a sincere apology, or something like that could maybe go a long way to help mend something like this. I have a feeling that he will not do something like that at all. In the coming months, I wouldn't be surprised if we see other members of the team sort of double down on what we saw here with Matt. Or maybe we do not hear from Matt because his management wanted him to not damage the image of the game any further. Either way, calling your potential players sickos is not the best way to go about creating good PR for your title and studio. Plus, just don't poke the bear when it comes to this type of stuff. Many of these guys and other culture war related outlets that you can find on Twitter can do a really good job of then picking apart your game and then presenting it to so many people so that even more are aware of what you're trying to do there. Avowed is also another fantasy related RPG. We just had a crapfest with Dragon Age the Velguard, and rightfully so because of all the nonsense that was put into that title, along with the media trying to play ball for it to try to hide a lot of that stuff for the game. I really hope Avowed is not in a situation where we see another fantasy RPG sort of implode because of the nonsense put into the game. Again, like I always would prefer a good game. Maybe this just turns into a situation where there is a pronoun selector with your character creator, and it ends there. That sort of thing, at least on PC, can be modded out, and that's fine to do, especially if the game is actually a good one. But if the game is bad, and it's preachy, and the nonsense goes beyond the pronoun selection, well then this game is going to be in for a lot of trouble, as all of this stuff will probably come out. So what do you think of all of this as it pertains to this situation? Was this a good or really bad move by the art director? Did this happen to deter you from buying the game now? If you're interested in the game, what excites you about it? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you can help to keep this channel going strong, and this allows me to be able to do more for my awesome audience. Please check out the links in the description and pinned comment for ways to support the channel. And most of all, thank you very much for watching.